Hi, so I'm doing this new series featuring adult ballet dancers and I'm excited to share it with you all. And today we have Gill with us. She's come all the way from Scotland. How cool is this? You may know her from Instagram as Scottish, what is it again? I can't remember it. We'll put it down below so you can see. So what I want to show you guys is the amazing variety of us out there that still dance ballet, and those of us that started later in life as well. I want to inspire you all because I get so many messages asking me, is it too late for me to start ballet, or telling me that they have stuff wrong with their bodies, or people that even consider their body shape not a ballet body, which is just ridiculous, because if you've got a body and you can dance, guess what? You can go to ballet class.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So Gill, tell us about yourself. Tell us a bit about what you currently do at the moment, and how you personally started your ballet journey.
Okay, so I, at the moment, because I've been injured, haven't done a lot of classes, but I'm now back to doing bar.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly going to start a bit of centre, because I broke my foot last year at ballet. So it's been a bit of a journey.
Of course.
An emotional roller coaster.
Oh, absolutely.
As a psychologist, it's been a very interesting journey for me. And not a nice one in many ways. But I've had a lot of support from the adult ballet community on Instagram, but also from two amazing people in Glasgow who've been extra super supportive.
Oh, it's fantastic when you get the right support, right?
Yeah.
When you've been injured.
One has been a dance physio. She was the physio for Scottish Ballet, and she was a physio for dance, the Dance School of Scotland, and she's been superb. But the person that's really helped me the most has been Kate Menzies of the Movement Studio. And she's my gyrotonics instructor.
Ah, yes.
But also she's the ballet rehab person for Scottish Ballet.
Wow.
And she has been incredible.
That's fantastic.
It's thanks to them that I'm now back where I
Goodness
to be.
So what we've been doing earlier today is I was actually fitting Gill for some demi-pointe shoes, and I have a video all about the amazing benefits of demi-points. But I said to Gill it'd be a fantastic opportunity to just regain that strength in her feet. But also we fitted her for new pointe shoes, because feet do change even as an adult, but of course they especially change when you've had any injuries. So when did you originally start ballet? Did you start when you was younger?
Yeah, I did. I started, I think I must have been about 4 or 5. And I was trailed along to a ballet school, I think because I was quite an active child. And my parents wanted to find something that would deal with that activity.
Sure.
So I was trailed along to Adeline Calder School of Ballet in Edinburgh, which was a very, very old ballet school in Edinburgh.
Oh, wow.
And I did Highland dancing, tap dancing, what was then known as god-awfully acrobatics, which was actually gymnastics, and ballet. And so I did that probably till in my teens. Ballet was the thing I really enjoyed. And I did all my BBO grades in that, so I did that. And then when I was about 13, my dad died very suddenly, and I rebelled hugely.
Oh, wow.
So everything went, and I stopped ballet. I didn't want to be associated with that anymore. Then when I must have been maybe about 18, 19, Adeline Calder started adult ballet classes, which was really revolutionary at the time. And it was probably around the time of Pineapple maybe starting.
Oh, wow.
I think they started in 79. So
oh
she was very revolutionary in Edinburgh as
well.
Wow. And that was really cool. That was really good. And then I left Edinburgh to go to Aberdeen, where I was at uni. And so I hooked up with a BBO teacher that Miss Calder had taught, actually.
Oh, wow.
And I did some teaching of the very tiny little ones. I did a bit of Highland with them, a tiny little bit of tap and some ballet. And she also took me for private ballet classes.
Oh, wow, fantastic.
Which was great. And I did that for probably about 2 years. And then uni just got too much. And so I stopped ballet. And I didn't come back to ballet. I'm trying to think. My children would have been about 4 and 5, and they went to ballet school in Glasgow. And I kind of toyed with the idea then, but didn't do anything about it. And then eventually came back in 2012.
Oh, wow.
And my kids came back with me. Now, they were adults at this time. And I weighed about 14 and a half stone.
Gosh.
That's for a lot of reasons, but however, at that time, that's what I was.
Sure.
So going back to ballet for me at that stage was really difficult.
Of course.
But I hated the gym, and I just remember loving ballet and the music, and I thought, right, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I did,
Uh-huh.
and went back to Scottish Ballet with, as I say, 2 of my kids then,
Yeah.
one of whom didn't last very long, but the other one did.
Uh-huh.
And then also went to, in fact, the guy that took the Scottish Ballet beginner class, because I went back to beginners because I needed to.
Of course.
I hadn't danced for years and years.
Absolutely.
So went back there, and then Scottish Ballet beginners stopped. They stopped doing it for a while. But the guy that took the class decided that a few of us wanted to continue ballet,
Yeah.
and he said, right, okay, I'll take the class. So we found a
fantastic.
studio,
Uh-huh.
and he was awesome.
Oh.
And still I go to his class, some of his classes, because he's just awesome. And at that time I had a really bad experience in a different dance studio in Glasgow, where somebody posted something very unpleasant about me on a blog, and I can understand that.
No.
It was very large, and it just perhaps, I don't know, but she was very unpleasant. And at that point I thought, I'm going to quit. I can't deal with this.
No.
It was so horrible. But the guy that was taking the ballet class absolutely said to me, do not quit. And I was very fortunate. He, at that point, was very friendly with Brenda Last, who I think is a patron of the British Ballet Organisation. She was a dancer with Royal Ballet in her day. And at that point, Brenda Last must have been in her 70s. And she was so encouraging, and she said, darling, just do it.
Oh, that's really nice.
It was just lovely. And so I've just kept going.
See, that's the other thing, guys, is like starting ballet as an adult. It is super scary, and it's all about dipping your toe in that water and getting going with it. And you've got to find, not only find the right class, but you've also got to find a teacher that is encouraging, right? Because I've been there as well. I've done many classes all over the world now, and you know, there is a great variety, and there's many different methods of teaching, of course. But also don't get disheartened and do not get frustrated, because ballet is hard. Right?
Yes.
And you know, as an adult, it's important that we know our limitations and we don't push ourselves to the extent of injury and bad habits, but also we enjoy it for what it is, right?
Exactly. It's fun.
We are exercising, we are enjoying the music,
yes.
the enjoyment of movement, making friends, and seeing what's possible.
Exactly.
Right? And
exactly.
do you find, if you didn't know, Gill is a psychologist, and she's going to be doing something to do with dance.
Yes,
tell us about that?
A doctorate in dance psychology. I hope to start in October, and I'm particularly interested in adult ballet dancers. And what interests me is I'm interested in what brings people to ballet in the first place. Especially those that haven't danced before.
Yes, of course.
So I'm particularly interested in that. I'm also particularly interested in when people have a hard time at ballet, because sometimes people do, what makes them come back?
Ah, that's really interesting, actually, because even, you know, I've had times where, you know, some teachers tell me about my legs, for example, with my straight knees, and you've been there too.
Yeah.
And they say to you like, oh, you know, you'll never be able to do this, you'll never be able to do that. But there are times where you can prove people wrong, even as an adult. But also, you know, I've done my grades as an adult, and that was tough. And, you know, there was times where I thought that I couldn't go higher than the grades I already did, but I still proved people wrong. But there is, you know, of course, days where literally you do think to yourself, Christ, I don't think I can do this anymore.
Yes.
Because you get older as well.
Exactly.
You know, and although I'm just like 31, obviously, even in your 30s, you still notice a difference in the way you move, your flexibility, recovery rate from class. You do not recover quickly and bounce back as quickly as you would when you're a teenager, for example. So if you've done a very intense class, recovery time is generally longer, and you need to take some more better self-care steps to recover from harder classes. And this is another thing about adults, is sometimes when they start and they really love ballet, they start to fling themselves into doing as many classes as they physically can. They pour loads of time and money and effort and blood and sweat and tears into it, but they don't see fast progression, right?
Exactly.
And this is something that fascinates me, because when you start as an adult, or even if you're returning, you still need to take it slow enough that your muscle memory works, but also that you can actually fire up the correct muscles, because sometimes we aren't actually using the certain, what it's like, right? And some teachers, unfortunately, are quite slack with adults. They just say, oh yeah, do this, and let you get on with it, but they don't look at how you're doing it and analyse where you're going wrong and sort you out, because of course this is how we can get hurt as well. But it does interest me when you get some dancers that do so many classes a week, but then they wonder why they're not progressing so quickly. But like everything in life, it takes time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing is that, I recall as a child never being told how to turn out. So you slammed your feet out.
Oh my gosh.
And it's only really in the past probably 10 years that I have learned that you turn out from the hips, that you wrap. It's this wrapping movement.
Of course.
And thinking about pulling your sit bones together almost.
That's scary. Oh my gosh.
And also I think because you were never really taught how to turn out properly, and I think going back to, I'm 65, so I learned to dance a long time ago. And teachers of dance then were almost, I'm not sure that they were educated in the way that some are now. I can't say that they're all, but some are now. So they would whack your legs out.
Oh my gosh.
Adeline Calder used to have a walking stick.
Oh wow.
And I remember having your legs whacked out. So you were literally just whacking.
Of course, and if you haven't got that natural turnout and you think that's what you've got to do, I even see it now, unfortunately, in some places where there is a very old-fashioned method of teaching, and the kids think in order to get attention and to get a role or to get further, they have to have this flat-out turnout.
Yes.
Which, guys, you do not need.
No.
If you're, under 18 watching this, I hope you learned something too, because it's not about forcing your body into these unnatural positions that you're not actually capable of. It's learning about your personal range. If you destroy yourself too young, you're going to get injuries later down the line, and it also might stop your lifespan of dancing, basically.
Exactly.
So obviously being an adult and going to ballet for a first time, another thing I get is, will I have to wear a leotard and tights?
Oh yes.
Now guys, I want to put this straight. You do not have to wear a uniform, not unless in rare occasions the school does have a policy. Now don't get me wrong, it is good to wear clothing that shows your lines so the teacher can correct you. So that could be leggings or even, but not saying too baggy they can't see your hips, but do not fret, you do not need to wear a leotard and tights. But also the beautiful thing is, in this day and age, we have so much dancewear available. Even Grishko have a nice variety of dancewear for all shapes and sizes. Everyone is covered. But also you do not have to fear that, I'm going to ballet now, I have to wear this, I'm uncomfortable with that. Because it's not the case, right?
No, absolutely not. Scottish ballet class that I go to, improvers class, there are people there who are in leotards and tights. There's people there from probably about the age of 18 up to my age. And some of the people that are my age are wearing leotard skirts and tights.
Yep,
and some of them aren't. And some of the younger ones are wearing leotards and tights. Some of them come in like gym gear.
Yeah.
And anything goes.
Exactly.
It's not a
So don't let that put you off. If that's what is making you fret about taking your first steps, do not worry. And again, with shoes. Now, I need to do a video all about properly fitted ballet shoes, because obviously we know I talk about Pointe shoes a lot, but boy oh boy, have you seen sites where the ballet slippers do not fit someone, even on kids?
Yes.
And it drives me mad, because it is just as important that a ballet slipper supports you and fits correctly, just like a Pointe shoe would. I will delve into that another time. But again, first class, don't worry about shoes. Go in your socks, have a feel for it, see if you want to commit to it, then think about the gear. Don't go all blazing in, spend loads of money and realise you don't enjoy it. There are plenty of beginners that turn up in their socks. There's even professionals that do bar in their socks before they actually put their ballet shoes on. So don't worry about that either. Another common thing is, even as a child doing ballet, is comparing yourself to others, right?
Yes.
We all do it, it's natural, it's part of life. We all compare ourselves at some stage, whether it's, even in daily life. Ballet, however, is extremely hard, so it's all too easy to be at the bar and look down and be like, how's she doing that? How come she can do that?
Yep.
I've been there the same amount of time and I can't do that move, right?
Yes.
We've all been there.
Yep.
But it's important, right?
Just be yourself. It's really hard, and especially if you're a ballet returner, because for me, my extensions are now really poor. But when I think back to what I could do when I was younger, it's so frustrating.
Oh, I can imagine.
But you do what you can do.
Exactly.
You go with what you've got and you deal with it.
Exactly. Absolutely agree.
Don't look at other people.
No, right?
Don't
And
compare yourself to other
also,
people.
sometimes when you see people stretching their legs behind their heads and whatever, and the people who have a lot of extension range, you will often see they can get it up there and hold it, but they can't keep it there.
Exactly.
Because they do not have the strength to go with flexibility. So this is another thing, that even if you are that flexible, don't push it. Learn. It's more about the control and the strength and the technique. So don't fixate too much about all this other stuff. And this is another part. Instagram is wonderful, but what I personally see is I see a lot of people running before they can walk. One of those things is adults obsessing that they must be flexible to do ballet. So they're now practicing doing the splits. You know what?
Over splits.
It's just too much. You do not need to be able to split to do ballet.
Nope.
I even know professionals that are having a successful career that are not flexible are still having a career. It is not required. If you can do it and you want to do it and you're comfortable doing it, great. But you know what? I haven't been able to split since I was 12 years old, and I have no interest in putting my body through that, because also I have different stuff wrong with me now that just wouldn't be suitable. But I just see this massive obsession, even with the younger generation, with flexibility rather than strength, control and technique. It's sad, I think.
It is. And for me, sometimes when you're maybe slightly older, you don't think of yourself as being older. So you might think to yourself, okay, so in my head, I'm 21, and actually my body's much older than that. So in your head, you've got this picture of this young person that can do all this stuff, and actually you can't.
No.
And it's about just accepting what you've got.
Exactly, I agree.
Frustrating though it might be, it is.
Another thing that we see, talking about running before you can walk, and we was talking about this earlier, is the rush to go on point.
Oh.
And I will do a video all about this because I need to talk to you guys about this. You can do ballet without doing point. There is nothing wrong with that. And you know what, like I say to you, if you've been fitted by me before, I'll tell you, if you're being fitted for the first time, that not everyone can go on point, and it's true. So do not worry. It's nice to have it as a goal. It's nice to strive for it, but don't think that just because you're starting ballet now that you're going to be eventually get point shoes. But another common thing I see is adults rushing to get on point. So they'll do private lessons, they'll do extra classes. And some of the teachers will just say to them after a year, oh yeah, you can get point shoes. That to me is not appropriate. There is no way that anyone, in my opinion, after 1 year of ballet classes is ready for point shoes, right? It takes time, but also I want people to be properly assessed before they go on point. And this is why I personally even have my own assessment together now to look at people. And you know, even if I see something that I think needs looking at, I ask them to go and see a dance physio, because being safe on point is so important. And we both see it on Instagram, don't we? People that think that even without teachers' permission, they can go on point, so they go and get point shoes and take themselves to classes, even open classes that aren't point classes, and wear point shoes.
I know.
It's sad.
It is sad, and I get why people think that the be-all and end-all is to go on point, but again, you need to work with what you've got, and you need to have the strength. You need to have been doing ballet for quite a long time before you should be thinking about it.
Absolutely.
And
again, as an adult, you know, our bodies are different now, and we might have had previous injuries or health conditions that are going to play a role into whether you're going to go on point or not. But it's also vital that if you do go on point, you're being taught by someone who is great at it and isn't going to rush you, but also you're paying close attention to detail. And another thing is, like, with normal ballet as well as point, there are some stuff that you'll never be able to do, just because it's not within your range. And also because, you know, we're not ballerinas at the end of the day, you know, and it's sad, isn't it? Because, like, you know, even at 31, I'm fine with the limitations that I've got. I know there's some stuff, even in flat shoes, that I won't be able to do because of either stuff with my own body or the fact that I just don't have that solid technique. And I'm fine with that. I go to class for an outlet. It's enjoyable. It's a step outside the real world. And, you know, dance is there to be enjoyed. Yes. And I see so many people that get so het up and so frustrated because teacher has told them this, or their friend is doing that, and their friend told them this. And it gets a bit kind of tedious after a while because, you know, you're paying your money, you're taking time out of your own lives to go to these classes. It's vital that you enjoy them. If you get to a stage where you're feeling quite down about it and you feel like you're not progressing and you're obsessing over it, that's when it becomes a little bit of a problem. And that's when you should maybe take time out and reassess wherever you should be doing ballet anymore. Yep. And as like a psychologist, do you ever find it's really interesting learning about why some people kind of use ballet as an escapism,
yep.
but they use it as an escapism in the wrong way sometimes, and they use it as a way to not deal with what's going on in their lives, or perhaps they're doing it because you know, they didn't do it as a child and they feel like they've got to get to this goal, like Pointe work, for example. They've got these kind of old memories from the past,
yeah,
and they're trying to outlive their dreams from before.
Yes, I mean, I know quite a few people that do that, and actually for some people it's quite sad because they're ploughing themselves into this ballet, for instance, and it's not resolving the issues that they have.
No.
And they don't go away. But yeah, there's quite a lot of people like that.
Absolutely.
And yeah. And I think as well for, I don't know, teachers of adult ballet need to remember, I think, that adults come with a lot of baggage.
Yes, definitely.
And they come at the end of a day of work.
Of course.
And I think it's important that teachers of adult ballet are aware of that, because sometimes some teachers of adult ballet teach ballet the way that they've been taught, or the way that they were taught as a child, or the way that they teach their children, and it's not appropriate.
No, that is a really good point, actually.
And I'm particularly interested in that as well. That's something that fascinates me, is about adult ballet teachers, why they teach adults, how they teach, because if you think about it, they teach adult ballet like they're the teacher that knows everything and you're the pupil that's there to learn. Now, yeah, okay, that's absolutely sure for children. Adults don't learn like that.
No.
Adults have a different learning style for children.
Do. They really do.
And so I'm really interested in that. I think it's just fascinating.
And even classes I've taken myself, there's been classes that I would never go back to because they literally talk to you like you're a child.
Yes.
And if you're not on the same level as the person you're teaching, you are surefire not going to get those people come back.
Yeah.
And also you've got to make it fun, you know.
Exactly.
It can't be deadly serious all the time. So talking about injury and coming back from injury, obviously I've been injured myself as well, so I know just how tough it is. But what would you say were the most common kind of issues that you had to face through injury as an adult?
For me, I think if I think of the piece of advice that was given to me is concentrate what you can do, not what you can't do.
Yes.
So for instance, when my foot was broken, I could go to the gym and I could do things sitting down. So that was helpful because I got really hung up on not being able to do anything. I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that, I couldn't go to class. The feeling. And friends were going to class, you know, oh, I can't go to class.
It's so frustrating, right?
It's so frustrating. That was the best piece of advice that was given me. And then the second piece of advice that was given to me was make a weekly plan.
Ah, yes.
So you can chart your progress.
Yes.
And these two were the best pieces of advice.
Seeing the little bits of progress makes such a difference, right?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Like,
absolutely.
When I broke my wrist, for example, getting that motion, because believe it or not, your wrist is pretty vital, even for balance. And, you know, when you're used to using it for turning, and just being able to see that I could make little vital bits of progress throughout the week kind of urges you on to think, right, actually, I am improving. There is a road ahead of me, but slowly we're getting there. You just got to see that.
Exactly. And I think the thing is that you're maybe doing stuff like physio would give me stuff to do on the floor, and then talk about seated stuff, upper body stuff in the gym. So you're strengthening your core and things like that. And you couldn't, initially I couldn't see the point of doing that, because why do I need to do that? But actually, you do. And it's when you rethink things. And for me, it was a huge rethinking curve. And those two pieces of advice have served me so well. I mean, even now, I broke my foot in July last year, and I'm only now able to do one-footed rises at the bar.
Wow.
And I've only really been up till now doing bar. And I've been doing bar in socks, which has been really interesting.
Yes.
Because it works your feet. You really feel your feet. And I have to say, I've really enjoyed wearing socks.
Yeah, no, I do too. Sometimes it makes a difference because they're more glidey, you can glide on the floor more and you can feel every little part of your foot.
Exactly.
And then obviously going to a demi point would just give you a little bit more of a challenge, especially for balance as well. So that'd be really fascinating to see. So when did you get to go on point? Did you do point as a teenager?
Yeah. I find it difficult to think back. I think I must have been about 11, but this is probably in the bad old days.
Sure, yeah.
And all I really can remember is a man with a suitcase.
Oh my God, wow.
Coming to the studio and fitting people with point shoes.
Love it.
But the teacher, Adeline Calder, was very strict in terms of the shoes. If the shoes weren't right, you didn't get them.
Sure, yeah.
So I do remember that. So I must have been about that age.
Oh, wow.
And then coming back as an adult, I probably didn't go back on point. So if I came back in 2012, I probably didn't go back on point for about 4 years, 5 years maybe.
Absolutely.
A, I needed to shift the weight.
But
B, I needed to get my strength back.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't have great feet, as you know. They're quite flat feet.
They're not that flat.
Oh, they are quite flat. I think they're reasonably strong. I think that's the thing I do.
Yes, and I was surprised,
feet.
even though you've had this injury, it was like you've never really had the injury.
Yeah.
There was a slight difference, guys, but really I was really impressed at how far the foot has come. Like, it blew my mind, actually.
Well, and I think that's just down to being careful, sensible, and doing what I'm told.
Yes.
Because I'm not very good at doing what I'm told. But, I have
So when you returned to point as an adult, what was it like? Did it feel how you remembered it?
No. I think remembering it as a teen, there was the toenails coming off. There were because we couldn't put anything in our shoes.
Oh gosh,
You
yeah.
weren't allowed anything in your shoes.
Oh God.
And you weren't allowed elastics.
Oh no, that's even worse. And do you know what? There's still schools now that don't do the no elastics thing,
yeah.
which is bloody ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, my toes used to bleed. I had
my
horrible,
God.
It was really painful.
Oh, it sounds horrific.
So coming back was like, oh, do I really want to do that
Sure,
again?
yeah.
But shoes have changed so much.
Of
You can
course.
put things in your shoes.
Yeah.
It wasn't comfortable.
But it was
But it
bearable.
was better. Yes, it was bearable.
So, when you started back at Point, was it like a gradual progress? Was it a little bit a week?
Yeah, it was a little bit a week, and a lot of being at the bar.
Of course,
a lot of doing slow rises and going through the foot.
Absolutely.
All of that.
See, this is another thing, guys, is often I get adults even who have been on Point before that get to go back on Point, and there's teachers out there that literally just throw them into the deep end. They do a bit of bar, then it's like, oh, let's go to the centre, let's do this, let's do that.
Yeah.
And it's like ballet on speed, and it's just ridiculous. We don't need to rush, but this is also how a lot of adults are getting injured, and also picking up bad habits. There's no race, it's not a competition. Go at your own pace. And classes in London as well, I find that you get groups of dancers who have returned, who are now seeing the younger ones in classes that they go to and thinking, oh, they're doing that, I'll give it a go. And sometimes I think it's a bit sad that the teachers aren't paying a little bit more attention to detail and noticing that some of these people aren't ready to do certain things, but letting them do it anyway. And I've seen as a result of that, not only just shoes that aren't suitable for people, but also people with, an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And accidents do happen. And I recently saw a really bad accident at one of the class I went to with someone who really shouldn't have been on Point, and it looked like they'd probably ruptured their Achilles tendon. I don't know exactly what the outcome was, but the ambulance had to come. So yeah, stay safe.
Exactly.
And this is where the fit of Pointe is important, right?
Very.
Have you found that as an adult, going to dance shops, sometimes they will look down at you for being an adult doing point work?
Yep.
And
Exactly
it's sad.
that. Exactly
You should be taken just as seriously as the younger ones. Even myself, when I've been for fittings, you know, they either look at you and be like, oh, you're doing point work. Like, oh, are you sure? Or, you know, they won't spend much time with you. They'll literally get shoes out, looks fine.
Yes, and I would absolutely concur with that completely. I went for a fitting in, I won't say the shop in London.
Sure. Yeah.
And within 30 minutes I had a pair of shoes and they were wrong.
Oh my God.
Wrong. And then I went to another very famous shoe shop in London and same thing. And that's another thing that really interests me, again, with the psychology bit, is that adults aren't taken seriously.
Yes, definitely.
And adults, more than anyone, need to be taken seriously in terms of their physicality and likelihood of injury.
Yes.
But yes, the Pointe shoes I can completely concur with. Yet, when you come here to see the wonderful Leanne,
oh, thanks.
she spends so much time looking at your feet. I don't know how many shoes we've tried on today.
Stacks as usual.
Loads.
It's important, guys. Wherever you go for a fitting, don't be afraid to ask to try on loads of shoes. Because you should. Even though they might say, oh, they're not going to work for you. They don't know until you try them, right? Because even I was surprised today with Gill. You know, there were certain shoes I didn't think that would work, but her feet have changed. Her strength's changed. So there were shoes that do work now that didn't work initially when I fitted her. So don't be afraid to speak up. It's just surprising, isn't it? And also, with regards to being taken seriously, like some adults would like to do summer intensives or things like that. And, you know, in London, pretty much all we have at the moment is Chelsea Ballet Summer School, which is also wonderful if you guys ever want to do it. But we don't have much summer intensive or special courses or, I mean, we're getting a few more workshops. There's quite a few of those, but there's nothing where it's very, you know, drilled in about technique and appropriate technique and learning how to look after our bodies for ballet.
And I think Glasgow's even worse.
Oh, gosh.
There's like one en avant ballet comes up to Glasgow.
Oh, yes.
That's it.
Oh, wow.
That's it. In terms of dance in Glasgow, it's not wonderful.
No.
It's not that wonderful.
It's very tough.
Places.
And for you guys that live a little bit, because I travel all over, so I get to understand that there's not much available for adults, unfortunately, sometimes. But just, you know, even if you have to travel a little bit extra, it's worth it to get proper tuition and to know that you're coming away having learned correctly and doing stuff that suits your body. You're not being rushed. It's worth its weight in gold. So do shop around for the right teacher. Don't just find a teacher and think, that's it, I'm settled here. And also don't be afraid to do multiple classes, as in, you know, I do loads of different open classes and that has made me learn so much. Each teacher teach differently. They see different things in you. It's very vital. If you ever find a teacher who tells you that, oh, you dance here now, that's it, you're not allowed to go anywhere else, that's a red flag.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't you agree? And even I get it with the younger ones. Oh, you know, sorry, but if you dance here and that's it, you are basically just one of our dancers.
Yeah.
You don't belong to anyone. You have not signed a contract. So you go out there and do all the classes you want to do and learn so much that way, because there are so many methods of ballet. And this is another thing that a lot of adults don't understand. There are different methods. So don't be afraid to try different ones, find what works for you. Even if you don't want to do full-on ballet, bar, you know.
There's loads of bar classes.
Even floor bar, Pilates, you know, there's all variations of ballet. So you don't have to go flat out if you don't want to. If you still have dreams of doing a bit of ballet, there are variations out there for you. So I'm going to leave this video here and we'll look forward to doing some more in the future. I hope you've enjoyed our chat. If you have any questions for either of us, feel free to write a comment, drop us an email, whatever. I put Gill's Instagram below so you can go and find her profile. It's been wonderful. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And we're now going to go and get some lovely food because we're super hungry.
Exactly. We're both vegans.
Woo! Vegan power. I must do a video about this actually, sometime about vegan dancers because it's really interesting. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. And also remember, I do Pointe fittings. I travel all over the country and the world, pretty much.
And she's fab.
And I've helped a lot of people with pain. So if you're in pain and you're struggling, I can probably sort you out. So feel free to drop me a line. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.